Hey there, it's Elke.
I'm Jen, and in this episode of the Creative and Ambitious Entrepreneur Podcast, we are talking about the real reason why you are not making money on Zazzle.
I know it may seem harsh because, how do we know what's going on in your life? But we're going to give you our example of like my story for this time round so that you can really understand that I've been there and Jen's been there where you are now. And we overcame that issue of not being able to make the money we wanted to on Zazzle. And because of that, we now can really be in your shoes and understand what you need because we clawed our way out of the problems that we had. And you're probably facing those same problems right now. And because we've now been past that and we've become successful, we can help you understand what's going on and what you need to do. It's not personal. That's the first thing. We want to make sure that this is not like giving you like bad vibes that you're, now we're criticizing you. The most important thing is that, hey, we feel your pain and we have been there. We have felt that pain. I still get goosebumps because it was a huge journey and it was filled with lots of frustration and fear and resentment and times where I wanted to give up. I don't even want to say that because, man, had I given up, I would not have been able to earn over 1.5 million together with Jen. That's our combined income right now. That's not what we sell. That's what we've taken home. That's what Zazzle's paid us out to date. And that's the other thing that everyone wonders about is, are we still active on Zazzle? Yes, we are. We are Zazzle designers and we consistently move our business forward on Zazzle. We depend on that income. In fact, we've been depending on that income for 13 years. Yeah. And so we're really excited to be able to talk to you about this as a fellow Zazzle designer and give you some insights as to what happened with us and now what we can do to help you understand what it is that you need to do to move forward and get where you want to go in your Zazzle business so that you can make that money that you want to make and live that life that you want to live.
And I wanted to just jump in and say that over the past 13 years, we've built up a really great status on Zazzle. So you are a Diamond Pro Designer and I am a Gold Pro Designer. We both individually have our own Zazzle stores. We've worked on our Zazzle businesses individually, but combined we've earned, as you said, take home $1.5 million. And that's growing every single day because we are still active in our Zazzle businesses and we do depend on that income. And I think a lot of Zazzle designers seeing us as experts in the Zazzle world think that we're just doing our mentoring and giving out information on how you can become successful. But we still every single day work on our Zazzle business and we make sure that it's still active because that's a huge component of our earnings in our being and living our dream life.
Yeah, and of course, that's the whole point, right? You want, and this is how we segue into the reason why that you're not making that money that you want to make on Zazzle. And what happened with me a long time ago is I didn't treat it like a business. And why? Because I didn't expect to be 13 years down the road still making money on Zazzle. It's a business and it makes us a lot of money. And that's why we're still actively working on it because we don't want to lose that income stream. But we don't actively work on it as much as we used to because we've put into place really great 5 strategies that work for us so that we can have a passive income rather than an active income so that we can enjoy life and do things other than just working to make that money and trading time for dollars, which is what we come at it as in terms of when we as businesses and business owners decide, oh, we're going to do this passively online. It shouldn't be a problem. It should be a lot easier. Everyone says it's passive, but it's still a business and it's still how you have to treat it as a business and set it up properly so that you get it to work for you passively. Obviously, passive means a lot of different things, including that you can be making sales on the Zazzle platform while you're sleeping, which is always fun. But you always still need to actively put up the products so that you can get those sales, right? You can't make sales without products. And you want to make sure that those are products that are desirable. And so there is always a component of active participation in your Zazzle business, but it's very strategic, and the way you create that those action steps to run your business once you've got it set up is very different than when you're starting out. And so we've learned all of these things. We've worked really hard. We've tried a lot of different things, but then we created strategies. So let me back up and tell you my story. When I started in 2017, yes, that's a lot, or no, 2007. That was a long, long time ago. And what back then, it was me coming from my 9-to-5 job and treating it like someone would tell me what to do, or I would just like think that all I had to do was this, and then I would be successful, and I would just make my $100,000 that it was leaving in terms of my corporate job or wanted to leave, and I thought this is going to be easy. You just put up some products, and so what I was doing was not treating it as a business. I was basically treating it as a hobby because I'd get to it when I wanted to. I thought that anything that I did was going to just create me oodles and oodles of money. And I also didn't expect much from myself, even though I wanted and wished for that big 6-figure payoff. But I really didn't understand that I had to put some action behind that wish and setting those goals. I had to literally figure out what it was that I was going to need to do to get there. And so that's part of the treating it as a business that I wasn't aware of when I first started. In fact, in the first year, I made less than $100, which was the payout for one check for Zazzle. So if you don't make $100, then they don't pay you out. And so I was working for an entire year on Zazzle, and I never got paid out. And that's my determination. I really was so sad and frustrated that this wasn't working, but I was always doing more work, more and more work, working harder and harder, and not really knowing that I wasn't doing the right kind of work. I was throwing spaghetti against the wall. I was not happy because I was working so darn hard. I want to swear, because it was so freaking frustrating that I was not making money. I was making a ton of products, thousands of products, and I was not getting sales. And so it's a really good term, because when you cook pasta, you throw the spaghetti against the wall to see if it sticks. Well, I wanted something to stick. I wanted to have that sale. I wanted to know that something was happening. And when I got to $90, I was thinking, okay, well, something's working, but why isn't it making me thousands of dollars? I don't understand. And it wasn't until I sort of stepped back from out of my own ego and realized that I've got to treat this differently, because what actions I was doing were not helping. Plus, at that point, and even now, there's very few people online that are teaching you really good things about how to make money on Zazzle. Yes, they might have some really great ideas about Redbubble and Site6 and other print-on-demand companies like Teespring and Spreadshirt, but they don't have really good information about Zazzle. Even back then, there was very little in terms of what you could do to make that money on Zazzle. Other people were making it, but they were guarding it very closely in terms of what it is that was making them successful, because they didn't want anyone else to be successful too, right? It would take their share. And so I was stuck. I didn't know. I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have anybody that really was doing really well on Zazzle to follow. There were a lot of people that were giving advice, for sure. But when you look at their designer badge and that says Bronze Pro Designer, well, that means they've made $1,000. So they've made more, at that point, made more than my $90, but that was only going to get me to bronze or $1,000, right? I wanted to get the advice from the gold designers, which means that they've made $100,000, and also anything higher, the platinum and the diamond, but they weren't actually giving advice. It was only the pro designers or the low level designers, which hadn't made as much money. And so that's all that I was following, is that advice. And so I knew that that was only going to get me to that level, but I wanted to make 6 figures. And so I had to really go into other areas and learn other things. But then when I went to those other areas like Amazon, merch, Redbubble, Society6, their platforms are set up in such a different way that any advice that I got from there was not really very helpful. It was for them, for that platform, yes, but not for the Zazzle platform. And I wanted to make money on the Zazzle platform. And so I had to figure it out myself with lots and lots and lots of trial and error.
Yeah.
Right? Do you remember those days?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. No, we did a lot of work to try and figure out if
Yeah.
things were going to work, and as you said, if they were going to stick or not. And I don't regret it, but I wish somebody would have been there so that we could
Yeah.
have learned easier and faster. Yeah.
I know. And so in my first year, and same with Jen, in her first year, $90-ish for both of us. And we were just like looking at each other like, should we be like going on with this? And we do find that a lot of people on the like online space, they put comments out there like, oh, I've tried Zazzle and I've only made a couple of dollars, so I'm rather focusing on these other where I can make more money. But it's interesting because once you actually understand the Zazzle marketplace and you know what to do, you have a proven strategic plan that works, that other people who have gotten to the amount that you want to make, like 100,000 or more, or even $1 million, then if you follow those plans, then they work. And that's proven by the fact that with our students right now, they were trying it on their own. A really good example is one of our students who is now a gold pro designer, but he had been on Zazzle for 5 years and had never made more than like $500 a year.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he started doing our training and used our strategic plan, then he was able to move in 3 years up from 0 to gold pro designer, which means that he's made over $100,000 take home, and he's sold over $1 million worth of product in less than 3 years, which is awesome, right? So if you get the right strategic plan and you get the right advice from people that actually know what they're doing and have achieved what you want to do, then you're golden, right? Then you start to really see those results. And as I mentioned, $90 in my first year, about $2,300 in my second year. Then I think in my third year, then I made $36,000. So it was like a huge leap. And it was like, what happened? And it's because by then, after like 2 years of struggling on my own, I just worked it out. I was so determined, so frustrated because I really did want to stay home with my family and take care of my kids. I have 3 kids. They're obviously a little bit older now, like Jen, because Jen is my daughter. And so, but that was really the point there. It was like I was wasting time because I wanted to be home. I didn't want to keep working in corporate, and I wanted to be able to not miss out on any more of the family time that was so precious to me. And so I just like a mad woman just tried to figure it out, and I tried so many different things, and then when something worked, I kept doing more of it, and when something didn't work, I stopped doing that. And yeah, sure, you can try that yourself as well, but I would highly recommend that you already sort of move yourself up to a level where people have already figured stuff out for you. And if I would have had that with when I was going through this back in the day, then I would have definitely bought any course or any book. And actually I did. I bought all the books and everything that were out there, but they weren't very helpful. Unfortunately, they were just like basics. And so you really want to get something where you can get into the meat of what it is that's needed, like what steps do I need, what products do I need to make, how do I set up my store, how do I do my categories. And as I said, it's so different than Redbubble and Society6 and anyone who might still be on Cafe Press, although Cafe Press I think has a bit of a bad name now. But these were all things that I also tried and Jen also tried. But once we got the hang of the Zazzle platform, we realized that there is so much more money to be made there in a lucrative way that people don't understand. And that's why we started teaching, because everyone keeps saying, hey, well, Zazzle's not the best. It would be like my last resort to work online because all these others are giving me so much more money. But then they go, how much money is that? And it turns out it's a lot less than what we make online, because after struggling, then I was consistently making $100,000 and Jen was consistently making $50,000 to $60,000 when she started moving up. It's awesome. And this is why we depend on this Zazzle income, because it is providing the income that we are used to because we've been doing it for so many years. So yeah, do you want to add anything to that?
No, you've explained it perfectly.
So let's recap. So you can't treat your Zazzle business as a hobby.
Yeah.
And it's not an insult. It means that the action steps that you take to do as you would in a business are not the same as what you would do in a hobby, right? Hobby's fun, relaxed. When you get to it. You only do the things that are fun, not the things that are maybe not so fun, but you have to do them. That's work. But if you want to have a 6-figure business, you have to do work. But then the way to make it a lucrative 6-figure business is to set it up in such a way that it works for you passively rather than actively all the time. But you do have to work at the beginning. But the sooner you get smarter and do things like get someone else's plan that's really working for them, and you can just jump in and do those steps and then see results like Brandon did, then that's really what is important, right? Because that levels you up and it stops you from wasting your time, which is part of having it as a passive income for you. And the other thing is that Zazzle is such a really great platform, but it's so different and unique than Redbubble, Society6, and anything else like Amazon merch. And so it has to be treated differently.
Yeah.
And you would think that, oh, well, that means it's too tough or it's too much of a learning curve. It's not if you get help. And then you realize, wow, there's so much more that I can do and that you can do on the Zazzle platform with that one design that you have to like drive traffic to on Amazon merch or on Redbubble and Society6. You don't need to. You can do so much more organically, which is actually one of the reasons that we love Zazzle so much, because it truly, truly is a passive income stream once we set it up properly with our products.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did I recap everything, or was there, and who and where you get advice from? Well, obviously we're a little bit biased in that because we've been through your journey that you are on right now, and we have found a lot of people that have given advice and it turns out to be the wrong advice. Mm-hmm. And that's really unfortunate because they meant well, right? And we also thought, great, this is awesome. We're going to really take advantage of this advice, and it's so nice that people are giving it. But you get what you pay for, you know that saying. And you also have to check, like if you went to a car dealership and you wanted to get a car, you're going to already go to a specific brand that you've researched, like whether you like one brand or another, but you've researched you've done the consumer report thing.
Yeah.
You figured that out. You know at the end that when you go and buy even any of the cars that are on that lot, that you know that you've done your research, and theirs are providing you a certain service, and they're going to allow you to give you're going to have a good ride. You're not going to have a lot of repairs and all that stuff, right? You do that research.
Yeah, your investment is worth it.
Yeah, because you're going to put a lot of money down in terms of buying a car. So it's the same thing with starting your online Zazzle business. You're putting a lot of your time and maybe your training money that you're going to use to pay for training down. And you need to make sure that it's going to be taken, like you get the right advice and you pay for the right advice and you listen to the right people and the right experts in order to make sure that when you take that advice and you spend the time putting it into place and seeing if it works, mm-hmm. that you are truly getting the right advice. And so we want to make sure that you are on your road to success, because we have seen so many success stories with the students in our Zazzle courses, and we just feel very sad when other people come to us who have said, I've tried this and I've tried this and it's not working. And usually it's because of something that they've watched online on a YouTube channel or some free advice in the Zazzle forum, and they haven't really checked to see where they got that advice from. So we really truly want you to make sure that you get the right advice from the right experts, so that you, the ones that actually have gotten to where you want to go. Mm. And so that's another reason why you have to treat your Zazzle business as a business rather than a hobby, because in a business you're invested, and in that investment you're going to always do all those checks and make sure you're getting the right advice, because it's your business, and so you're invested in it to make it work. And so that's partly what changes in that attitude when you switch from hobby to business. It's like, no, this is my business now. It's not just a hobby. If with a hobby you can let anything work, or it may not fail, or it may not work, or it may fail. But if it's a business, all of a sudden you want it to work. And so that whole mindset right behind that makes you make different decisions. And then all of a sudden you start to see that success, because you're making those decisions, like making sure that you do have expectations, treat it like a business, and then you get the right advice, and you follow a strategy that already works so that your business doesn't waste time. And also the last one is that when you're going to be on Zazzle, you definitely need advice from Zazzle experts, not from Redbubble experts, or not from Amazon merch experts, because they're so different in terms of the platform.
So I was going to say, are you ready to stop throwing spaghetti at the walls?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was so ready
I
by
was
the
so
time.
ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when I started reaching 5 and 6 figures, it was like, yep, I finally did it. Yeah. And so we want you to finally do it, and we want you to have those success stories.
Yeah. So thank you so much for listening into this episode of the Creative and Ambitious Entrepreneur Podcast, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.